What's up, guys? Welcome to the Organic Guy podcast. I am your host, the Organic Guy, and this is your weekly segment of Organic View. This is where we get to go through some of the buzzing topics in the organic industry throughout this particular week. And this week, I want us to go through arguably one of the most important books that get released in the organic industry, and that is the World of Organic Agriculture book, which get published by FiBL and in collaboration with the International Federation of Organic Agriculture Movement, that is IFOAM, right? So this is a particular book that comes out every single year, and it's been doing so really for the past 21 years. And this year we are going to go through the 21st edition of this particular book, and just to get how important this particular book is, actually, it's one of those books that help us to have a grasp, right? Paint a picture of what actually is happening within the organic movement. It help us to reflect on what happened in particular here, for example, what happened in last year, for example, within the organic movement, and help us sort of visualize on what might happen in the following few years to come as well. So it's one of those important books that gets published, and I guess most people don't really have the time to read this particular book. And if you look at it, it's a 300 pages book. So when you just look at all those pages, it might seem daunting to read all those pages, to be honest. But what I'm going to do today is actually to give you a summary of what is in this particular book, so that you can have a rough idea of what's going on. And when you have time, I can highly recommend, of course, you can download it from their website. That's FiBL or IFOAM website, and get to go through it and just get to understand what's happening in different worlds, right? What's happening in the organic movement, for example, in North America, in Africa, in the European Union, in Asia, in the oceanic countries, in South America. So it gives you a better view, a better perspective of what's happening here all around. I'm telling you, it's most industries dream to have such a kind of book, but within the organic sector, we are very, very privileged to have this kind of statistics made available to us very easily, actually, and made available to us year after year. All right, what a privilege indeed. So before we dive right into this particular statistics book, I want us to just go through, all right, to give you a picture of some of the challenges that goes through in producing this particular book. So, for example, they are just laying here on some of the challenges that they go through in producing this particular survey. So, for example, they sometimes do not receive updates, all right, for particular data for several years. So what do you do when you don't receive data for several years? So you sort of decide not to continue use that particular data for given a particular period of time, because that data may actually be outdated. So this, of course, when you stop using that particular data, so this might result in a substantial drop in, for example, let's say if you're measuring an area that's inorganic, or the organic producers that are available in those particular countries, right? And also sometimes, of course, they get forced to revise some of the data for some countries, as some data may seem implausible. They also receive major data revisions for some countries, which of course can result in the area that is inorganic to drop, as well as the producers to drop as well, or the crop data to drop at the end of those particular year. All right. So, for example, here they give an example of in Mexico, right, where they changed the source of the data that they get from, and as a result of changing this source that they get from, this particular new source did not include the smallholder farmers. So this resulted in a major drop of organic producers in Mexico and Latin America. So if you're reading this particular data book without having this particular context, you might think, hey, what's happening here, right? A lot of people just stop going organic, right? So if you don't have this particular context, you might think, oh yeah, things are going a little bit down. But if you have read through it and you've seen that they changed the source of data, that they were getting that particular data, and this source doesn't include smallholder farmers, now you get a better view of what actually is happening. So you might look in that particular data and see, for example, all other continents except Africa had an increase in the number of producers. But you're looking at that data, you're seeing, you know what, it actually doesn't make sense, right? How about we also define some of the terms that you'll get in this particular statistics book. So area, what exactly does the area mean in the statistics book? So the area means certified organic land, right? The number of areas that you will be seeing in this particular books, it means that area is actually certified land, or land that is already fully converted, as well as the land that is under conversion, right? So for example, some of the countries do not separate those particular two areas, all right? The land that is already organic and the land that is under conversion, those two lands actually considered organic because those two lands are being managed using organic principles, right? And so whenever you see those lands in your mind, you have to keep it very simple, that this refers to area that is under organic, that is under certified organic management, or an area that is under conversion into organic, right? And then area that is under share of organic agricultural land, of course, now that means the total area that is under organic producers data. So it's very, very important to also note that some countries report the number of smallholder holders, while others report only the number of companies or project or grower groups, which usually, of course, comprise several producers at an area. So this is particularly rampant in African countries, where you just group a lot of organic farmers together, and that can be taken as a growers group, right? And that growers group, so you have several organic farmers in that particular area. So this, of course, will in the end of the data may not be reflected in the data itself, but in the data you'll consciously know that the number of producers is probably higher, that is being communicated in this particular report. All right, and also market data. So we do know comparing country statistics remains very problematic, because different countries use different ways to collect their market data. So therefore, trying to compare particularly two countries is not a fair comparison, given that the different kind of ways they use to collect their data, and of course taking in mind the fluctuating exchange rates makes it a little bit difficult to compare those two particular data as well. Sources of data, so they do collect their data from private sector organizations, governments, certification bodies, and so of course the data that is available is in conjunction to how well these particular sources provide this particular data, right? So these are some of the things that I want you to keep in mind as we go through, we quickly go through this particular statistic book. And as of 2018, as you can see here, the world of organic agriculture, especially farmland. So let's start by first of all looking at the total farmland that is under organic, right? So as of 2018, we heard over 71 million hectares of organic land. This is, of course, as we saw earlier, including certified organic land and in conversion organic land, right? And the regions with the largest organic land included the oceanic countries with 36 million hectares. This is over a half of organic agriculture land. Europe came in second with 15 million hectares. That is 22%. And of course, if you've been keeping around the news, we do know that the European Union has a very ambitious target of making sure that 25% of the land goes organic before 2030. So this is an area that will be interesting to look at, how fast does those numbers, okay, the numbers of hectares grow within the European Union, given the target that they have for themselves. And then third, we have Latin America there, Asia, North America, and Africa, being the least continent, the last continent with the least amount of hectares that is organic. But there's one thing here you must that sort of struck me here, and you might help me in this particular conversation down in the comments, right? So here, as you can see, Africa has the lowest number of hectares in organic, right? Here we're talking about certified organic and in conversion organic, right? In North America also has the second lowest number of organic land, right? They have 3.3 million. So North America is basically the United States and Canada, right? And they are the second lowest, all right, number of organic land, and Africa has the lowest number of organic land. Okay, just keep that in mind, all right? When we look at in terms of countries, Australia has the largest number of organic hectares, 35.7 million. This is largely, of course, we saw up there, Oceanic has the largest number with 36 million hectares. So as you can see, Australia itself has 35 million hectares. So largest country with the largest amount of organic land there. Argentina comes in second with 3.6 million hectares, and then followed by China, 3.1 million hectares. How about globally, right? When you look at those figures, not so good, whereby we currently have just about 1.5% of the world's agricultural land being organic. Very, very low number, and the highest of organic share of total land by region being Oceanic, which is only 8.6%, followed by Europe, and where the European Union has 7.7% of its land being organic. So not the highest numbers, but of course, as you can see year after year, there's been that growth, right? That movement has been on the upward trajectory as well. Liechtenstein has the highest organic share, so this is the total number of organic share. If 100% of land is being used to grow, agricultural products, 38% of that in Liechtenstein is inorganic, right? Either certified organic or in transition, right? That's very, very impressive considering that worldwide we only have 1.5%. Liechtenstein has 38% of that being organic. Samoa has the second largest with 35% of their total land being organic. Very, very impressive numbers, right? Growth of organic farmland, where in total we saw, if we compare this to the previous year, that is 2017, we see that there were 2 million hectares more than there was in 2017. That is some tremendous, tremendous growth right there. All right, so how did the increase of this organic farmland do? Right, we see in Europe there was as in 8.7% increase of the total farmland. We're talking about 1.2 million hectares that were converted more into organic than 2017. Asia also saw a 9% growth, that is 0.5 million hectares, and Africa also grew at 0.2%, that is 4,000 hectares more organic land was converted, right? How about we look at crops, and we see that overall, out of the 71.2 million hectares that is an organic, we see actually most of it, over 2/3 of this particular land is used for grazing, right? Is used for grassland and grazing. That is 48%. That is 48.2 million hectares used in grazing. So this leaves us with only 13.3 million hectares that is actually used in arable land, which is only 18% of the total agricultural land, right? And we see in terms of permanent crops, we see that 4.7 million of these 71.2 million hectares, 4.7 million hectares is used in growing permanent crops. So these permanent crops includes olives, nuts. We're talking about coffee here. We're talking about grapes, coconuts, cocoa, being the major permanent crops that are being grown that are under organic in this particular segment. All right. So how about we move to organic producers, right? In 2018, we had 2.8 million organic producers, right? And 47% of these organic producers were in Asia. Then second, all right, this is very interesting to me. Second, we see Africa coming in second in terms of the total number of organic producers with 28%. If you remember up there, actually, ladies and gentlemen, you saw Africa had the lowest number of hectares that was in organic. But here we're seeing that Africa has the second largest producers of organic products. Why do you think this is the situation, right? I have a theory. I'd like to know what you think about it. Let me know in the comments. Also, we see Europe has 15%. Latin America has 8% of these total producers. And in terms of countries, we see India having the largest number of producers. 1.1 million producers are in India. 200,000 of our producers are in Uganda. 200,000 as well are in Ethiopia, right? If you remember the other day, I was covering about Ethiopia, and Ethiopia Airlines decided to be serving organic produce on their airlines. And as you can see here, Ethiopia has the third largest number of organic producers overall. All right. So they probably looked at this and they saw they do have a world stage here, right? They do have an opportunity to support the local organic farmers, and as a result, the Ethiopian Airlines decided to go organic. So as you can see here, we have two countries from Africa that top this particular group of producers, which is a very, very interesting phenomenon, right? Africa being the lowest continent with the lowest number of hectares that is in organic part, dominating in terms of the number of producers. What is your theory? Let me know in the comments of this particular phenomenon, right? How about the global market of organic, right? So in this particular segment, we saw that the global market reached a 95 billion euros industry, all right? And surprise, surprise, demand of this organic food remains concentrated in North America and in Europe. Remember, North America, that is the United States and Canada, had the second lowest number of the second lowest area of organic, that is unorganic, 3.3 million hectares. All right, but here they actually have the largest market. So meaning most of the organic products that are produced are actually consumed in North America. Very interesting phenomenon right there, gang. You can see how the market dynamics is playing here. All right, I hope you're connecting the dots here. All right, I hope you're connecting these particular dots. And organic food and drink sales reached that is 95 billion euros. And the country with the largest organic market were the United States with 40.6 billion euros, followed by Germany, that is 10 billion. France also coming in third with 9 million euros. So you can see largely dominated by the United States and Europe, especially the European Union, Germany and France. And the largest single market is, of course, the United States. 42% of the total organic products that are produced are actually sold in the United States, followed by the European Union, which is at 38.5%, and then China comes in third as the largest market for organic produce at 8.3%. But how about when we look at per capita consumption, that is per person per year, how much they spend on organic products? We see that Swaziland and Denmark having the highest number here, where on average consumers spend over 300 euros on organic products, right? Significant number right there. And the highest organic market shares were reached in Denmark, where it stood at 11.5%, arguably 12%. This is the first country to reach an organic market share of 10%. Swaziland and Sweden really coming in second and third. So as you can see here, the European Union dominating this particular area. All right. Absolutely dominating. So meaning that out of 100% of the total market in Denmark, 10% of this particular market is actually organic. All right. Very, very rapid growth in there, ladies and gentlemen. So you can see here, market. So if you are probably producing your organic products, so where you want to look at, you want to see how can you get your products within the European Union or in Europe really, and then how can you get your products to the United States as well, right? So very, very good dynamics in there. As you can see that the United States had the lowest number of organic land, but they have the highest in terms of market. All right. So meaning there is an opportunity. If you are, of course, an organic trader and listening to this, you are seeing an opportunity there that there is an explosive market within the United States and in the European Union for you, that you have a chance to have your products being sold in those particular territories as well. So how about we look at standards and legislation and policy? Where does the organic movement stand at this particular point? So, and then according to the IFOAM survey right now, standard and legislation are at 84 countries right now, and 17 of these countries are in the process of drafting legislation. One important change also you have to look into is group certification, which is now currently being allowed in relation to control of small operators, and which is a new regulation in the EU now, within their new framework that will be in action starting last year. It was supposed to be actually enacted within this year, but due to, of course, COVID, now it had to be pushed next year. So for me, I see it as a positive development, the ability that small organic farmers can come together and then can be certified makes, of course, the costs of certification go slightly lower, given the fact that FiBL estimates that about 80% of the world's organic producers are actually smallholders, and they are in low and middle income countries. We are talking about 58 countries in total for whom individual certification will be unaffordable and administratively too complex to manage. All right. So in total here, we're talking about 2.6 million producers who are organized in 5,800 internal control systems groups and managing about 4.5 million hectares of organic land in 2018. So overall, of course, we are seeing that this particular policy of allowing groups of organic farmers to come together to be certified, making life a little bit easier for this particular organic farmers. So of course, also we have the participatory guarantee system, which is a locally focused quality assurance system, where also tries to make it affordable for organic producers to sell their products as organic in the marketplace, where these particular organic farmers can come together and hold themselves accountable on how they produce their particular food system, and now making it less costly for external parties to come in and certify them, and of course they can help save this particular money. Right. So, and then after that, of course, we have different statistics for each continent, which is very important. It helps you give context. It helps provide you with a context of what's happening in different continents as well. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go through quickly through each continent so that you have an overview of what's happening. Then I want to leave you for you to download this particular book and actually go through it and get to understand better on exactly what's happening in each context, and then you can read more. Of course, there are a lot of important points that are mentioned within this particular book that I highly recommend to download it, or you can indeed order it through FiBL and get it delivered to you as a hard copy. So in Africa, all right, what's happening in Africa right now? Quickly, 2 million hectares of certified organic land is in Africa as of 2018. So compare this to 2017. Africa reported an increase of 4,000 hectares, that's 0.2% increase. So in 2018, there were at least 800,000 producers. Tunisia was the country with the largest number of organic area, followed by Uganda, and Uganda, of course, had the largest number of organic producers at 210,000. And the country with the highest organic share of total land in the region was the island state of Sao Tome and Principe, whereby 22% of organic agricultural land was in organic. All right, what's happening in Asia? All right, the total number of organic agricultural land in Asia was at 6.5 million as of 2018, whereby they had 1.3 million producers, most of which were in India. Of course, as you saw earlier, 1.1 of these producers are in India. The leading country here being China, with the number of hectares that is being produced at 3.1 million. And of course, we saw China there came third as the third largest holder in terms of market for organic products. So you can see China is increasingly becoming a very, very important player in the organic sector as well. So Timor-Leste had the highest proportion of organic land, that is as 16.8%. Interesting development in Asia was the fact that South Korea also launched a pilot program that started to provide environment-friendly rice to military bases. So this is one of the ways that you can see the government is giving a slight eye towards organic. They might not use exactly the word organic, but you can see that there is one eye looking at that particular direction, which is good to see as well. And also providing a box scheme for environmental friendly food to pregnant women, which is of course a very, very important opportunity for organic players to sort of step in and try to show why organic is a better option. All right. So how about in Europe? What's happening in there? As of 2018, they had 15.6 million hectares of agricultural land in Europe being organic. And we had around 400,000 producers. All right. In Africa, we had about 2 million hectares that was under organic management, but we had over 800,000 producers. All right, and but in Europe we are only having half of that. And I remember that the total number of producers in Africa might be underreported through the fact that most of the farmers, in one way or another, are probably in a group. All right, so if you really to count one by one, they probably be more than that. So there is an interesting phenomenon that's happening here, and that's why I'm still insisting to leave your comments below and let me know what is exactly do you think is happening in this particular phenomenon. And in Europe here, 3.1% of agricultural land was organic. In the European Union, 7.7%. Organic farmland had increased by 1.2 million hectares compared to the previous year of 2017. Countries with the largest organic agricultural area, we're talking about Spain here, having 2.2 million hectares, France, 2 million hectares, and Italy having 2 million hectares. And while in 10 countries, at least 10% of the farmland is organic. We're talking about Liechtenstein here, having 38.5% of its land being organic. Very impressive. Austria, 25% of it being organic, and Estonia, 22% of it being organic. And in terms of retail, of course, we saw the European Union being the second largest home for organic trade at 40.7 billion euros, and the European Union coming in second. At the total area of organic trade that is being conducted at 37.4 billion euros. That's an increase of 7.8% since 2017. The largest market for organic products was in Germany, which saw a retail of 10.9 billion, followed by France and Italy, respectively. All right. That is in the European Union. What's happening in Latin America, right? In Latin America, we're talking about 228,000 producers managing 8 million hectares of organic agricultural land in 2018. This is 11% of the world's organic land. We are talking about 1.1% of the region's agricultural land being organic. So the leading countries here, we're talking about Argentina, which has 3.7 million hectares, followed by Uruguay and Brazil. The highest share of organic agricultural land were Uruguay, French Guiana, and the Dominican Republic. All right. So how about North America? What's happening in there? We're talking about 3.3 million hectares, second lowest number of organic farmland here, only second to Africa, and 2 million of this being in the United States and 1.3 of this being in Canada. That is 0.8% of total agricultural land in the region. New records were achieved in the United States market, whereby organic non-food market reached at $47.9 billion US dollars. This is an increase over 6% compared to 2017. Sales of organic non-food products jumped 10%, okay, to 4.6 billion US dollars. This is almost 6% of food sold in the United States is now organic. What an achievement, right? So it means in terms of awareness, guys really do know what's going in there in the organic industry as well. So how about the Oceanic? What's happening in there? So altogether they have 21,000 producers. Remember, Oceanic has the largest number of land that is managed organically. We're talking about 36 million hectares here, which constituted 8.6 of the total agricultural land across the world. We're talking about more than 99% of this land being in Australia, which is, in most parts used for grazing. Highest of organic national agricultural land was in Samoa, that is 34.5%, followed by Vanuatu and Fiji, Australia, Kiribati, and then Solomon Islands, 4.4%, right? So as you can see, there is, of course, cause for us to be happy. And if you're comparing this particular data in 2019 and comparing it to what we saw in 2017, as you can see, there is an upward trajectory on what's happening exactly in the organic sector. So this is a cause for celebration moving forward. It is a cause for us to be optimistic. It's a cause for us to continue supporting the organic movement, because the only way forward here is to continue to see this particular trend move upward. All right, so make sure you spread the word. Make sure that when you are in the supermarket, you switch and you shop consciously, right? You make sure you pick an organic product here and there when you go into your local supermarket as well. So I am very optimistic about what's going to happen in the future, in the couple of years, and I'm looking forward to the next year's book as well. So of course I encourage you to make sure that you check out their website and download this particular book and just take time to go through it and understand the statistics. What do they actually mean? What is the trend? What's happening in this particular different areas, right? Try to understand it and read it, and keeps you up to date on what's happening and what to actually expect in the coming few years. So make sure that you download it, make sure that you read it, make sure you leave me the comments below of those particular questions that I was asking, and let's have a conversation about it. Let's come up with theories. I have my own thesis, I have my own theories about those particular conversation. I would like to hear your opinion on those particular conversations, so make sure you jump into the comments and leave your comments there. And of course, share this particular podcast with someone you think might be interested in this kind of conversation. There are a lot more conversations to come, so make sure you do that, and make sure you subscribe, and of course, share. All right, ladies and gentlemen, till the next episode, remember to be organic.